Welcome back, everybody, to an EFL special here on the Predictions Show. We are going to be taking a look at some of the most interesting data points and metrics. Who's in the best form, who's not scored in a few games, who's had BTTS in every game. It's all coming up on this episode. We're going to cover the Championship all the way down to the National League. So without further ado, let's get into it. We start in League One because I wanted to show you Plymouth Argyle. We mentioned them on the channel when they were in this terrible run of form, 4 defeats in a row. They have since won 3 of the last 4, but if we look at the all competitions, it is actually better than that. It is 1 defeat in the last 6 games, and that was away at Cardiff, who are just absolutely smashing League One at the moment. And their most recent result, away at Luton, a 3-2 victory where they had a man sent off on 50 minutes, and they then went on to get the winner after that. So 40 minutes played with 10 men away at Luton. I think they are turning the corner under Tom Cleverley. And they are hosting Peterborough United this weekend, who themselves just got their first win of the season. This is actually 17th against 24th. So Peterborough, despite that first win, still rock bottom. So this is set up perfectly for Saturday afternoon. If we just look at the away form for Peterborough, they have conceded 2 or more goals in every single game. Can Tom Cleverley make it 4 wins on the bounce? And I show you this game, and I start with this game because I feel the odds are quite generous. Over evens with Unibet around 1.953, etc. with most bookies. That's an interesting one. As always, let me know what you think about that. Can Plymouth continue their good run? And can Peterborough finally do something other than get battered away from home? Now, don't worry, we will explore other leagues, but for now, we are sticking with League One. Huddersfield hosting Burton. Huddersfield's games recently have been quite exciting. If we look at their goals this season, an average of 3.25 goals per game. They've scored 15 compared to the 5 of Burton. If we look at the results, they come into this having lost to Bradford 3-1 away at Bradford. But for Burton, no victories since the opening day of the season. They've also failed to score in 3 of those 6 games. And also, when looking at Huddersfield Town's results, we can see that the last 3 games saw BTTS and over 2.5 goals. Our probability model gives this a rating of 60.45% in terms of the home win, and the odds are around 1.6 with Ladbrokes. I would expect that to drop as this game approaches this weekend, and you can see with Unibet right now already it is as low as 1.45. Now to the Championship, because guess who's back? Back again. Call a friend, because he's back. Chris Wilder returns to Sheffield United. 6 defeats in 6 games, no goals scored in the last 5. But it's all going to change. You just know it is. He's going to come in, he's going to steady the ship, and they're probably going to win this game 2-0. For Charlton, no clean sheet in the last 3 games. They've only played a couple of away games so far, so you can't really read too much into that, but this is their most difficult away game. No doubt about that. Even with that run of results, nobody wants to be playing this game. The return of Chris Wilder, I'm sure he will make changes to the shape, to the personnel, and actually the odds when I looked yesterday were about 1.9. They have dropped now 1.85, which I think is still worth it if you're putting together some doubles or trebles, because I believe Sheffield United will win this game. Now sticking with the Championship, we've got 10th against 21st, Norwich against Wrexham. BTTS has landed in 80% of games for these teams and over 1.5 goals in every single game. And we can look at Wrexham's games here just to see that in the actual results tab. It's beautiful, isn't it? 3-1, 2-0, 2-2, 2-3, 2-1. They've scored in both away games. If we look at all competitions, they've scored away at Preston. They beat Preston, they beat Millwall. This game to me is interesting because, as we can see here, Wrexham away from home scored in every game. Southampton, they were unlucky. 2 late goals, very late goals to lose that game. And Norwich at home are not doing well at all. 3 defeats this season, conceding 2 or more goals in each game. So a very interesting game here. And Wrexham, there is talk that they are already lining up a replacement for Phil Parkinson. He spent £30 million there or thereabouts. So they will expect a certain level of performance. But it doesn't always work like that, does it? Especially not in the Championship. One more game from the Championship before we head to the National League. And QPR, you may have just remembered them this season because of the 7-1 game against Coventry, but they've actually scored in every game they've played this season. BTTS has landed in every game they've played this season. And in the last couple of games, they have turned things around. They've got their first wins of the season, a couple of 3-1 victories at home to Charlton and away at Wrexham. Two pretty impressive performances. And they're hosting Stoke City, who have started the season very well, 4 wins out of 5. They've played some tough teams as well, by the way. They beat Birmingham, they beat Southampton. They lost to West Brom, who look very good this year. And obviously they beat Sheffield Wednesday and Derby as well. Now, given that QPR have scored in every single game this season, will they do it again? BTTS is 1.88. That is the peak. Over 1.5 goals is just under 1.4, which I think is a good option to add to your doubles or trebles this weekend. Now, sticking with BTTS, but moving all the way down to the National League is Scunthorpe. And remarkably, as we jump to their results here, they have drawn the last 4 games by a score of 1-1. And BTTS has landed in every single game this season. They host Truro City, who are finding it tough in the National League. They were promoted, of course. They failed to score in the last couple of games. They've lost 7 of their opening 9 games, and they have failed to score in 6 of those games. An interesting stat for Scunthorpe as well is that the majority of goals scored this season have all come in the second half. So 5 of the last 6 games, this data from the Football Form Guide, which you can check in the description, were scored, most goals in the second half. Can they break that trend of draws? They are 1.65, as high as 1.74 to get a victory. You would fancy them to do so against Truro in the National League. So after my research on the Football Form Guide, this is my first treble. Of course, the Sheffield United one is a personal pick, but I think it's one that many will agree with, of course. The odds have been slashed since Wilder took charge, just showing the confidence that people have in him and his ability to turn this around. Nice game as well at home to Charlton. BTTS in the Wrexham-Norwich game. Wrexham need to improve. Phil Parkinson needs to start scoring and winning games, or he will be sacked. That's the reality for him. And Norwich, home game for Norwich, you would expect them to score. And of course, QPR have scored in every single game this season. They welcome Stoke, who do have a good defence, but let's see if we can get over 1 goal. I was tempted to go BTTS for that one as well, but just reduced the risk ever so slightly. 4.2, 420, great number. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments. And the second selection, based on the analysis we did in this video, is a double. Huddersfield to score more than once at home to Burton, heavy favourites there. And Scunthorpe to score in the second half. Was tempted to go with the win for Scunthorpe, but actually I think the data is better for the timing and the second half goals. So Scunthorpe to score in the second half, 1.5. Quite surprised by the odds there. Truro City failing to score in the majority of games, losing the majority of games, and conceding more than once in the majority of games this season as well. 2.5 for that double. As always, let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching this episode of The Prediction Show. I'll leave you with a view here of the trends pages on OddAlerts. If you've enjoyed this, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, and comment your predictions down below. I'll see you in the next one.